All right, our viewers, you are welcome to Point Blank Talk Show on News Peddlers. Today, I am with Dovoeke Daniel. My name is Manoah Kikekon. Today, we will be discussing matters relating to Badagry, Nigeria, and the world at large. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you very much.
On Badagry today, we'll be looking at the custom university that was just proposed by the Controller General of Custom, and he has said he wanted to be cited in Badagry, and at the same time we've been looking at the Federal House of Rep member has always been talking about the citing of the University of Technology in same Badagry. So what do you think about these developments that are coming up at the same time? I don't think this will even, there are a lot of, this is a green light for Badagry.
Thank you very much. We should be happy as a Badagrian as things like this are coming to Badagry at the appropriate time.
Okay.
We should just see it as the appropriate time anyway. The Customs University that has been, proposed, and the Controller General alongside his team has met with the House Committee on Custom Affairs. And luckily for us in Badagry, the Federal House of Representatives member, Honorable SSANU, is also a member of that committee. And it was easy for them to approve at the lower house level the bill from custom, because interest always matters.
Yeah.
So since what the custom is trying to say equally aligns with one of the members of the committee's interest, so it was easy for him to as well use his period for the house to approve such. So I think it's a good one for Badagry, especially looking at it from the aspect of development. And again, as the host community, these are things that once it began, I don't know how it's the operational mode of that university.
Okay.
Probably if it will be like other conventional universities, like people will get admitted into that university through JAMB to study custom related affairs or whatever it's going to be. We are not yet aware about that. But as it seems to be, probably if it is going to be operated like police colleges where students will get admission into those school institutions, and once you get admitted after your 5 years of studying or 4 years of studying, you graduate as an officer of Nigerian Custom who is well trained and knowledgeable on how to handle community affairs and all of those issues that pertains to customs. Or anything, probably their engineering aspect and all of the rest about custom issues. So if that is the case, then I think it's a welcome development, because since it's a university, it should definitely cut across, because you should not be talking about just an issue where it's going to cover only a department and you call it a university for us. No, we should cut across every stress of university knowledge. Then again, on the issue of Federal University of Science and Technology, which has passed the second reading, I equally watched the motion, the proceeding for the second hearing in the House that was moved by Honorable Faleke.
So Keja constituency.
Yes. So I think it's from the both sides, it's a win-win for Badagry. But it's one thing for us to see things that have been proposed in our name, and it's another thing for us to see it being done. So at this time, we are hopeful that we will begin to see the proceed of these two universities. Badagry need them. And in fact, it should no longer become an issue where they will think because of this reason we are citing in these locations that is still within Badagry division. No, it should be sited in Badagry. Badagry must develop, and for Badagry to develop, a lot of developmental factors should no longer go elsewhere. It should be sited in Badagry, being a border town.
The local government sphere.
Yes, the local government itself. That is where it should be sited. It can be sited anywhere within the local government. It will move the general development of Badagry entirely. So, and I think as a border town, Badagry needs to, become more proactive in terms of development. It should no longer be the way it is.
But for the siting of the University of Technology and Custom University, there's a word that is being used by every individual that is involved in the promoting the ideas or the bill. They are saying that Badagry as a historical community, is there any history that is strictly aligns with education in Badagry, that it's making everybody referring to the history of Badagry in relating to citing educational institutions?
Well, if you look at it from the angle of citing it as education, in terms of education, of course, we have seen several, rewriting of history, where people have been rewriting history that the first primary school in Nigeria was located in Abeokuta. The first translation of Bible was done in Abeokuta. All of these are not true. The first church too have been said to be in Abeokuta. All of these are not true. History started from Badagry. Nigerian history started from Badagry. And as a historian, you should understand that history started when men take to writing. So whatever has been done, that is the view, Eurocentric view. So whatever has been done before
writing
takes place is not history. And you should know history does not cover everything. But in the case of Badagry, history documents it. We have European scholars who documented a lot of these things. And again, indigenous scholars too have documented it. But the process of rewriting history will not be to the favor of any other place. If it has been established that they are citing this in Badagry as a result of their historical or cultural,
references
or proofs. So you should see it from the angle that the first primary school in Nigeria was in Badagry.
Yeah.
The first, church in Nigeria, we started under the Ajah tree in Badagry. Is in Nigeria. It's in Badagry. Then you look at it, the first story building in Nigeria is equally in Badagry. So we have more different things.
Badagry is not, some people may even be the perception that Badagry is strictly about slavery and slavery.
No. If we are talking about the development of Nigeria itself, we are not even talking about slave trade. But slave trade happens to be one of the things that become more popular with Badagry. But it does not mean that we don't have other things that speak to development are equally there in Badagry. So Badagry is a rich cultural historical town that Nigeria should be able to invest more. That is why we have said it on this show, the last two shows ago, that we are equally advocating that we can have a university of
culture and tourism. Yeah, that's very, very important.
So this will be an avenue to showcase other talents about Badagry.
All right, still on the University of Customs and University of Technology in Badagry. Over time, there has always been the discussion that we've seen the representative, being active, making moves up and doing. But don't you think being up and doing is not enough? Because from the people I know very well, the people they are always interested in results. What's your take on that?
But it is not enough to get admission into university, and it is not enough to read. The most important thing is to pass exam. So passing exam means that you have to do everything it takes to pass. You read. Sometimes even if it is involved cramming of books, you cram. But the major thing is that even after cramming and the rest, most of students, even after exam, they still go and visit their lecturer. We have come to greet you, sir.
Okay, it's part of the passing
for you to be, that's to some extent what so many students do. Even why are you here? No, we just come to greet you. So it's a way of saying it's because he has written my exam.
Yeah.
And sometimes lecturer can mark based on mood.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes you see students who fail and naturally they did not fail, but probably because the lecturer who is marking can be under some pressure at the moment, and some things are running through his head, and as an act of probably an oversight, he just mark down the person. So what we are saying is that it is not enough to start telling us you have proposed this bill, you have this bill has been signed and the rest. It is good, truly. It means
you are working.
You are working. But at the same time, you need to use your power of lobby. That is why I said students will go to lecturer and I will come to greet you, sir. So you continue to lobby until you see that those bills that you have sponsored are now bringing out results. So that result is what the people will appreciate. People will not appreciate the bill. Because the bill will not translate into anything until it has bring out physical results.
Because over time we've seen that a rep member in Badagry has never gone there twice. And what I'm trying to say is that ones that they were there, they were moving bills, they were doing things, they were up and doing. But I think the reason why they could not go is that the people could not see the result of their activeness while they were in office.
Yes, that is very correct. But again, we need to be fair to the rep members too. Over time, going to represent your people once, sometimes they lack experience. They lack experience, and lacking experience will actually tell on them. And again, as a first-time lawmaker, they do not have that full experience to even get the right lobby.
Even they have not developed the relationship between co-rep members.
Exactly, it's not even there. So for them to have all of these things, the first time is there. They will, but what I think Badagrans have been having as a problem with them, even as a first time, at least let them feel your presence. You need to do some things. At least they still collect some constituency allowance. Let people feel the impact of those constituency allowance. Those constituency allowance should not be shared between political allies. So they should feel the presence of those allowances in their communities, and it should be cut across. So if people truly see that, look, this person is doing this, is doing that, is doing this, and it should be known to them that look, this is what you have been doing.
Nothing should be done in secret or in the public should be carried along.
It's not a secret court. Everything they do should be in the public domain. So it is true that the people will be aware that, look, this person has done this, and we can give him chance, let him represent us more. Probably will be able to get more. But over the years, if we even try to say, look, the first time you have gone there, you lack experience, go there for the second time. Sometimes they become too selfish and they do not even want to work, because you can continue to cite example at state level where we have seen those who have represented us 2 times
and they did not do anything.
They wouldn't show anything for it. So you see, but at the moment we think, let us just be optimistic. Let us be anxious that representatives this time around, they will use their office very well to do the proper lobby. Then before they leave, or before the expiration of their tenure, they would have given us the required results that will enable us to see whether we can vote for them again or we are going to vote them out.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your take on that. All right, thank you for staying with us. This is still Point Blank Talk Show on News Peddlers. On Badagry, we are looking at a protest that came up this past week in French Village, where the unions, we have SSANU, we have NASU, both unions protested at the same day, at the same time, showing their grievances to the federal government as regard unpaid allowances, withheld salary for 3 months, some say 4 months, and several other packages. 2019 agreement that was signed between the union and the federal government, and several other things. What's your take as regard that relating to government listening to people's yearning and not, with no owing them, looking at the economic situation of Nigeria?
Well, I think Nigerian government should, stop the idea that it is until matters get worse before they listen to people or before they attend to grievances of the people.
Yeah.
People who are working should be paid. And it should no longer be an idea that you now start threatening people who are now planning to go on strike, no work, no pay, or all of this. It is no longer acceptable because people there should be a means for people to voice out their anger. If people are working and they are not getting paid on time, it means that government is actually telling them to do some illegality for them to get more money.
Yeah.
So because they have families that they have to attend to and they need to meet up with their bills at home, you shouldn't expect those who are working for the country to get better for them to now start begging. No, it doesn't make any sense. So for SSANU and NASU to come out to protest in Nigerian French language village in Badagry is a sign that government has not been doing too well. And for them to protest is equally a warning that they should do the needful on time, rather than for these people to shut down the economy and for them to embark on industrial action.
Definitely that was part of the messages that was sent to the federal government, that if there's no response within a specified date, there will be national strike, and that could even make things worse in terms of affecting the economy and several other things. As regard Nigeria today, we'll be looking at the court in Nigeria has come out to say that the demand of the local government in Badagry, the demand of local government in the nation, that the local government before now, they have always been agitating for an autonomy, getting independent from the state government. Eventually, the court has granted the 774 local governments in Nigeria autonomy, and we have seen several reactions to this. Some state governors said it's so fine by them. Some said they are not going to accept that. Some said, what is really this autonomy? What can you say? What is it about?
You see, the issue of autonomy is just about partial independence of every arms of government. Tiers of government rather. We have the federal government, we have the state government, and the local government. These three tiers works as one, but at different levels. Why the federal government will see things that will rather cut across the nation, the states are more restricted to a particular geographical location. The local government equally are those who are more closer to the people. And from the revenue sharing formula, that is supposed to be what is supposed to be obtainable, immediately money is coming from FAC. It's supposed
federal government allocations.
Right? Yes. So it's supposed to be distributed between the three tiers. But now there is a problem. State government happens to create a joint account that is operated by both state government and
the local government.
Now under that joint account, at some point it becomes a fraud where state government have access to local government funds, and they determine who becomes the local government chairman and who does not become the local government chairman. Now they equally have that power to send away a duly elected local government chairman in order to install a puppet who comes under the name sole administrator or whatever they call their caretaker committee. So you see, all of these are undemocratic process. Local government is equally the third tiers of government that is supposed to In fact, most often people do not take their grievances to secretariat, the state secretariat, but rather to the local government secretariat. You know, they are more closer to the people, and they should have some level of autonomy that will allow them to carry out more projects and to listen more to the people, because if anything should happen, they are the one who are more closer, and they get the largest reaction from the people. So in view of this, those local governments now are now agitating that, look, state government are tampering with our own resources, our own share. We need some level of freedom. So that freedom is what is called autonomy. So that autonomy is what the Supreme Court is now ruling, that look, local governments should have their own freedom. Since the federal government cannot dip their hands into state coffer to take money from there, then the state government too should no longer have any right to take money from local government coffer. So now it's a way of saying, once money is coming directly from PAC, it's going directly to each of the local tiers of government. While federal is taking its own, the state is taking its own, and local government too is taking their own. And it is a good one to a large extent, because now it is definitely going to lead to issue of accountability. The people are now going to be more aware and more conscious, and for them to hold their local government chairman more responsibly. And two, it can as well damage the already existing structure of so many state governors who believe that by holding
the local government
firm
on their fund,
they are more loyal.
They will dance to the tone of the state
of the state governor. But now, if funds are now going to them directly, they are no longer feeling threatened by any state authority. So by extension, they have freedom to operate and to do and to deliver. And now, another equally important thing that should interest people is that I am not too sure if INEC will now be the one to conduct local government election rather than state electoral commission. So now, if INEC will now come to conduct a local government election, then it should interest you that it will no longer be the story of all the local government within states, where it has usually been the tradition that the same party that controls the state must control the local government. No, it will now be that people can now decide the party they wanted, since their fund is coming directly. But again, another equally important point is that it can as well lead to some local government becoming more aggressive in terms of, look at it, like for instance in Lagos State, we have 20 local governments approved by federal government, and we have 37 LCDAs. Now the fate of those LCDAs will now be dependent upon the main local governments. For them to get their funds, it has to be coming through the main local government where the fund is coming to. Now their election, the main local government will now start
infiltrating. Will now start doing the same thing that state governors were doing for the LCDAs.
Yes. So now the local government will now become the major. But again, it can as well go the other way, that while state government will sponsor candidates to win election in the main local government, once they win, all they do is just to inform the state governors that, look, Oga, the money has come in, how should we share it? So, and the state governor will still give them instruction, okay, you give this to this.
Because this one is not in our party, don't give him so amount.
Give him this, then the remaining one send it back to the state. We have some other project we have to do. So, to large extent.
And another thing, as regard what you just said, and a local government that has ambition to be either an assembly member or want to go outside rep or senate, will still at the same time dance to the tone of some governors.
Yes,
because they have a bigger ambition.
that is just the point. So to some extent it will lead to freedom for some local government, like we have seen in Rivers State, where the governor sponsored the candidate and did everything. After the election, now we have seen that the story is no longer the same.
Yeah.
The governor is no longer dancing to the tune of his predecessor. So now it can equally happen at any point in time in local government election. The governor may sponsor a candidate, but by the terms of the revenue allocation that will be going back to the governor, the chairman may become too aggressive that look, if this is going to the governor, then what do I have left to develop my own local government? And the chairman may decide to go elsewhere. And at the end of the day, he would want to satisfy his own people. So cases like this will happen. And if INEC is conducting election, it will lead to the idea that one party must rule will definitely come to an end. Some other parties too can win those elections, but people have oftentimes believe that if it is anything concerning state election, they don't want to waste their money because they know that no other party can win, and their views are often correct. But I think the Supreme Court judgment is just a very good one coming at the right time, just for people.
As I got the governor of Kwara State governor, who is the chairman of Governors Forum Committee, he has come out to say, commending the effort of the Supreme Court, that this is a good idea. That it is just a means to relieve the state government. Not that you've done anything bad for us, for the state government. That we are just relieving us from the expenses that we do to cover up for the local government. That now the local government will be responsible for paying salaries, which the minimum wage has bring it, could even make it difficult for them. And at the same time, they will have to pay the traditional rulers some percentage. What's your take as regard that? Don't you think the local government are celebrating now that they have autonomy? They still have something ahead, bigger ahead to face?
Well, I think the statement of the governor is, for me, is an irony. It's not a very correct statement. He's not saying the reality, but he's trying to, why should you allay fears of what is not your own problem? Why should you be sending signals that this is that? No. If you have been managing their money and you are able to do it, why shouldn't they be able to use their own money to do what they should do?
What he was trying to say from that is that most times the money that this local government gets is not only the federal government official amount, that the state government still come in to support,
that
to do from the state government purse to support the local government.
That is not correct. They are only saying that because they have tampered with the local government funds. Because the state government has tampered with local government funds, that is why they are coming to tell us that they are rescuing the local government. Money that is, revenue sharing formula, money that should go to the local government is enough for local government to deal with all of these problems without looking for any intervention from the state. While even the state are even complaining, the federal government has come to the aid of many states, and they go for different loans. Don't forget, Paris Club, different states have obtained this loan, and it is even the federal government who is now coming to rescue them. So they shouldn't be giving out unnecessary fears to local government chairmen that they are going to encounter this or that. No, they should allow them, let their money go to them, not interfere.
So from the autonomy now, the people of Nigerians generally should expect more from the local government.
Yes, people should hold
development should come, and the local government chairmen should be hold accountable for what they are not, what they are supposed to be, what they are supposed to do. That
people should start pressurizing local government chairmen. They should start pressurizing them henceforth about projects. They should start holding them accountable on what the constitution says is their role that they must do. Since their money is now coming to them directly, they have to deliver more and more. They should no longer be giving excuses for their failures. And the idea that EFCC does not arrest local government chairman or so, it is now time that EFCC have to go after them because their revenue base has increased, and EFCC is always interested in those heavy money. So they should start looking for local government chairmen who are not delivering on their mandates. What they have said they are going there to do, if they are not delivering, go after them. Ask them questions. Let them come and explain to the people why they refuse to, do what is required of them to do. Equally, the Anambra State government has even said they are going to review the Supreme Court judgment. I do not see it, don't let me say logical, because once you say you are going to review the Supreme Court judgment, that means that you have any objection to the Supreme Court, to the judgment that is coming from the highest court of the land. You have no objection. The Supreme Court has said this is what should be done. Then, as a governor, you have the freedom to review it for your personal consumption, but not to review the judgment. You have to accept the judgment that look, you have to comply because it is coming from the highest court of the land. You can no longer review it and now go to another court that no, you did not agree to this. No.
All right, viewers, thank you for staying with us. We'll be back after this short break. Thank you. All right, you are welcome back to Point Blank Talk Show on News Peddlers. Today we've looked at matters relating to Badagry and Nigeria. Now we'll be looking at matters within Africa. For a couple of weeks now, we've seen the Kenya protest has been ongoing, and several lives has been lost according to the information we've got so far. But the protesters has insisted that Williams Ruto, who is the current president of Kenya, must leave, must go. Meanwhile, the president, who is William Ruto, has made several corrections to the government in terms of scrapping about 40 agencies and other offices that are not functioning better for the betterment of the people. But the people still insist that Williams Ruto must go. And now, at some point, the court of Kenya came out to stop the use of firearms on the protester. But from some days ago now, we've seen that the security operative has resumed with the use of tear gas and several other firearms on the protesters. And this continue. Say some days ago, we've seen the corpse of some people, about 14 to 13 thereabouts, corpse of people who were suspected to be part of those that were kidnapped, top protesters that were kidnapped or that were assassinated. But these protests continue because before the protest started, or by the time it started, nobody knows it would linger this long. But this protest still continue to this moment as we are speaking. What is your take as regard this protest? What do you think would be the result? What do you think if the security operative has come back using firearm on the people again? This message, does it mean the president is not ready to leave the seat? Does it mean the people will eventually be suppressed or the president will leave? What's your take?
Well, I think the president is in a state of ideology.
Well, what does that mean?
It means that he is in a confused state. Wow. He's entirely confused.
You said ugly the pig lady.
Ugly the pig lady.
Wow.
So
that's a big English.
The president is entirely confused. So for him to have dissolved about 40 agencies, and for him to have even dissolved his cabinet, and for him to have even the only people that remain standing is himself, the vice president, and probably the secretary. So you just see that the president has no idea on how to tackle the annoying youths. But then, rather than for you to take medicine after death, it is in your own interest for you to, have done what is needful. If the president has suspended the bill earlier on, it wouldn't have degenerated to the extent of, becoming an issue where you continue the protest.
Okay.
If he had listened to the people earlier on,
Okay.
the problem wouldn't have persisted to this extent. But now the guy, all these youths, they are out. What they wanted is the president should go.
Okay.
But yet, we need to, be objective in our analysis. If these youth are saying the president must go, they should equally be reminded that the president has sworn an oath of office after he was duly elected by them. So for them to now say somebody you have elected with your votes, you now want to use protest to send him away, I do not think it's fair enough on the part of the president. Because the president needs to, look for a means to, get these guys talking to, the presidents directly.
Address their needs.
To, whatever their needs are, they should be able to dialogue and for them to resolve this issue. But it seems the president has failed to, capture the heart of the youths. And what we have seen from yesterday or a day before yesterday about, killing of several, protesters that has been buried, about 13 of them. And, the fears of the protesters is that they don't know how many numbers that have been killed, that these are just few that they have been able to see, that they don't know how much or how many the president is using the police to kill. And there have been issues about, missing high profile protesters. So this again, now seeing some of these dead bodies means that they are using secret police to, execute most of these protesters against the Supreme Court judgments. The Supreme Court judgment has said they should no longer use live ammunition on protesters, they should no longer use tear gas. But now that they have resumed firing tear gas at protesters, it seems that the president wants to assert himself by becoming a dictator and for him to remain in power. If you have sent away every other person and you are the only one who is standing, and the youth are saying you must go, probably the president should, think like, Democrats who has come to office through democracy.
Yeah.
And he should probably respect, the right of these protesters and resign. In fact, by killing 5 or 10 people is enough for the president to have resigned without even protest. He should have resigned, and most of those officers that are involved in those brutality and those killing, they should be facing a panel by now. They should be trying their fate in court. They do not have any right to kill protesters for protesting their rights. So these are issues that are very, very wrong, and I do not see the president winning their hearts by going through violence. He won't win the hearts of these guys. These guys are well determined, they are well prepared, they are well coordinated and well coordinated in their actions. And they are so determined to the extent that they refuse to have a leader. By having a leader, if you compare the protests going on in Kenya to NSAS protests that happened in Nigeria, you see 2 different things. One, the NSAS protest in Nigeria, it was coordinated under a leader. They have a leader, but here in Kenya, they do not have a leader. NSAS protest, after immediately after the protest started, some celebrities hijacked the process, and they started using it as a show. It was no longer a protest that was motivated for a particular purpose. It became a show where people will go there and dance away their sorrows. So the case is no longer the same. But in the case of Kenya, they are determined, they are well planned, well determined to actualize their vision, and they are not ready to negotiate. So that is why the spirit is always there. And since they are not coordinated under a particular leader, there is no way to speak to them. And that has been the problem. That is why the president was even able to, organize
a Twitter space,
a X space to discuss with them. Yet he is unable to, address the grievances of these youths. So we just hope that the president will become a Democrat and, tender his resignation. Probably we should start seeing that in Africa, where cases that are involving gross violation of human rights, we should be able to see African leaders who are not so, power determined to remain in power at all costs, should resign honorably. We should start seeing this.
I don't think over time we've seen anything like that in Africa, where
in Africa it has always been the other case, but in Europe we have seen several cases where leaders will resign.
Where they feel they are not, representing the people properly, they are not delivering for the people, and they come out to say resign publicly that they are sorry and they have to resign.
That was why they recently conducted election in UK. Even after losing, Rishi Sunak came out to apologize to the people, and he said he is guilty that the people has turned against his own party, and it is a very strong signal that he has not been doing well. So, but in Africa, we won't see people doing all of this. Now the president is trying to push all the blame to his cabinet members, to other people,
by scrapping those cabinets, sending them. Why not he, being the head, resign
himself? So for me, I think he should be the one to lead. While you are dissolving your cabinet, you should equally resign. So that should have saved the youth from the streets.
All right. We hope that the president makes the right move, or the people come to a negotiating table to end the protest as soon as possible, because the loss of life is not pleasant, and at the same time properties too are being lost. So lastly, today we'll be looking at the US election that is coming up this year, and we saw it some days ago, where the former US president Donald Trump was at a rally, and he was shot at. There was an assassination attempt against him, and fortunately the bullet missed him and just through his ears. But we are seeing several movements. Eventually we saw the court judgment regarding his impeachment and several other things that could have blocked him from contesting for this year's presidential election. But eventually the court came out to say he has an immunity as a former president. So what we are looking at now is that the current assassination attempt, some has come out to say is from the Democrats organized it. Some say several informations are flying around. What impact do you think this would have on the coming election?
Well, I think the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump is let me say we cannot ascertain at the moment, because he was shot yesterday, and we cannot ascertain at the moment probably the aims of the shooter. Immediately after the person who fired, within seconds the person was shot and killed immediately by secret policemen. So we do not know the major aims, but FBI are currently investigating the purpose of the assassination attempt. We don't know how they are going to get the purpose, since the evidence is dead. So, but again, for some people to have said it was done by Democrats, well, I do not want to subscribe to that, because especially pointing fingers to the current president, who has equally condemned the act and has said politics in the US is not about that all of these actions do not portray their own politics. You see, people can speculate, but where is their evidence? They do not have evidence to tell us that it was done by. And again, I do not personally believe that the president can do that. The president is a type of person who will believe in the process, and he wants everybody to, try their popularity or test their popularity at the pool, but rather than for unnecessary shooting. US is synonymous with shooting. Shooting is no longer an issue that should drag unnecessary attention, whether it was done by this person or not. But somebody can just wake up and feel like, look, he doesn't like this man called Trump, and the next thing that comes to his head, let me go and shoot him down.
And when the gun is accessible, available,
since individuals have rights to gun, so now if you look at it, he may not have been sent by anyone. If he's a professional assassin, first he wouldn't have climbed that building. He could have gone into that forest, and he could have used a sniper bullet, a sniper rifle to carry out his plan. But if you look at this,
it was not coordinated.
It was not well planned. And the president was so lucky to have escaped the assassination attempt. And we thank God for him, because we should be happy that at least Joe Biden is still having his very good rival, who he will be going into election with by November. And as a convicted felon, that is not a restriction to, conducting election. The man is still definitely going to election November, and he will definitely test his popularity. And the Supreme Court has ruled that, look, this man has some immunity, and he should be respected for that. So by virtue of that, becoming a convicted felon does not stop him from going to contest the election. So again, the FBI should continue with their investigation to see the roots of this matter.
All right. Historically, we've seen that US is synonymous with shooting of their president. And how can you briefly go into that? And don't you think there's a need at the level of where gun usage and accessibility is? Don't you think this matter needs to be strongly addressed?
Well, I think, even while I think the former President Donald Trump attempted to, stop the usage of, gun, accessibility of gun by individuals in the US. But then, again, the Supreme Court ruled that, look, you cannot stop Americans from accessing gun. The American Constitution is such a strong document that no individual or president can come out to, overturn it. And again, don't forget the 13th Bill of Rights that allows Americans the right to arm is still there, and the president does not have the exclusive power to stop it. But if America can come out, or especially the members of Congress can come out to review that document, there should be room for reviewing that document. The document should not become so rigid that it is destroying their community or their society, and there is no remedy to the destruction. The Congress should be able to come out and review that document and restrict rights to arms that has been enjoyed by Americans. Especially, the issue of arms should be limited, especially to those who necessarily need them, those that have been threatened, those especially aged people. It should be limited to them. It should no longer be accessible to every individual. And even those that have been threatened should even have a way of reporting themselves to the police, who will give them proper,
orientation. And
beyond orientation, the police can actually, be assigned to them to give them proper security, rather than for individuals to continue to carry arms that threatens the existence of everybody. Because those who, brought up the idea of 13th Bill of Rights does not envision that it will now destroy America to the current state it is.
It was for protection.
It was for individual self-defense as at then. But today, it is no longer the same issue. The issue has now become so deteriorated that Americans, individual Americans are now see themselves as enemies of themselves. One can just wake up and feel threatened by the presence of any other person, and the next thing, get inside, get your rifle and start shooting. We have seen the cases of shooting across American schools, and it seems to project American like a barbaric society where there is no law. So there should be some deterrence, and there should be a way. America, to some extent, there have always been deterrence to those that have been shooting unnecessarily. You see a lot of sentencing, but all of this has not been able to deter the people. So there
when the gun is still available to them.
yes, when the gun is still accessible. So what I think is that they should have a way of reviewing the 13th Bill of Rights for it to be able to address the problem and challenges of gun.
All right, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for staying with us today. My name is still Manoah, Kikekon, and with me is Dovoeke down, and this is the Point Blank Talk Show. I appreciate everyone. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, like our Facebook page, follow us for you to have more notifications as we bring more to you on Point Blank Talk Show every Sundays at 4 p.m. Thank you. Have a nice week ahead.